Welcome back to the podcast. Excited to have you all here joining me here today. I am really excited about today's conversation. A lot of people just really trying to understand how to navigate enrollment during this season. So whether you need more enrollment right now, or you have a booming wait list and you're trying to figure out how to make sure you're maintaining and engaging that wait list, or you don't have a wait list, you're good with enrollment, maybe that's not something that you're working on right now. You're kind of just here to be a little interested in what I'm talking about when I speak about decoding parent archetypes. You're in a really good space, because whether or not you're struggling with enrollment or have a wait list, enrollment is something that you always need to be working on inside of your childcare center. It's the lifeblood of your business. So I'm really going to be diving into a framework that I created around decoding parent archetypes, and why this is so critical and really important to understand, because what's happening a lot when it comes to messaging to parents is you think you're talking to one type of parent. There's no one type of parent inside of your center. You have multiple avatars, multiple archetypes inside of your company, and you need to make sure that you're messaging to them so that you can actually get your place fully enrolled. So what do I mean by parent archetypes? The first step in this process, very similar to my retention intelligence framework, which is an entire framework on how to hire, onboard, and retain phenomenal staff. And I have a number of different perspectives on that. And so this is a specific framework on making sure you're speaking the language of families so that you're messaging and you'll be able to market to the right demographic. So the first step in the process of understanding how to decode your parent archetypes is data collection. So you need to be able, I always start with data because data doesn't lie, right? You gather information about your parent population. Now, how do you actually gather information, right? There's a couple of different ways. I'm going to share them. Obviously, I'm not going to share them all over here. This is, an entire module and framework that we teach inside of our Schools of Excellence program. So the data collection methods are enrollment forms. You need to design forms to capture key demographics. And I'm going to walk you through what those key demographics are. So you want to make sure you're capturing key demographics and preference information, because this is going to help you understand, okay, now we have this type of avatar. Now, just to preface, as I go through today's podcast, you're not going to have 20 avatars. At most, you're going to have like 4. Because if you have 20, then now you're getting too specific, right? Like we want to just have like certain profiles of families. Okay. So enrollment forms is one way to collect data on your key parent demographics. The second one are parent surveys. You want to be conducting quarterly comprehensive parent surveys that get your quick pulse on what is happening with your families. The third method of where you can collect data is individual parent interviews. You want to be scheduling brief interviews with new and existing families that have open-ended questions to gather the qualitative data that you need. The type of question that you ask matters. And this is one of my unique superpowers, is good quality questions. So we've created those questions inside of a framework that we give our clients so that they're not trying to, reinvent the wheel and figure out, okay, what questions should I actually ask over here? Another thing that's a really great way to collect data from is social media and online engagement. Like, how much do your parents, current families, actually engage on social media platforms? Analyze your website traffic or frequently asked questions. These are some great places to get data on your demographic. And the last one is community, right? Local demographics data in general for your area, understanding just the broader trends of the community that you live in. Because again, families that choose to live in the village in New York City is a very different type of family who chooses to live in a tiny little suburban area, in middle of Oklahoma. Like, it's a totally different parent demographic. And your messaging and your marketing and your product and your service delivery have to align with who you are communicating with. So that's the first step, is just the data collection. Okay. What are the key demographics that you're actually looking to try to understand? So demographics start with just the age range of the families that are inside of your center, family structure, right? of the different kinds of families inside of your center, what percentage are single parent, two parent, guardian homes, multi-generational households, number and age of children. So from your demographic, how many of your families are single child households? 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. Like, what is the demographic? Cultural language and cultural background and primary language. These are huge when you're designing different demographics. Okay. Socioeconomic factors. What is the income range of these families? Their education level, their occupation type. All of these factor to your messaging and your marketing and your pricing structure for your school. Okay. Lifestyle and values. What are their work schedules? Are they 9 to 5? Do they have shift work? Do a lot of your families do the graveyard shift? Do they work from home? Hobbies and interests, values regarding education. All of these things are critical, right? We had a client who, she was doing a survey and she realized that I think it was 2% of her families cared about organic food and an eco-friendly environment. 98% of her families didn't care about it. So she dropped it out of her budget, right? She stopped putting it in her messaging because guess what? That wasn't attracting families, right? Sometimes you think that when you say something, it's like, oh, everyone wants this. There's no such a thing as everyone wants this. Okay. It's what does the majority of your avatars, what are they seeking, and are you selling it? And then if you are selling it, right, if it is part of your product, are you messaging it appropriately? Does the parent even understand that that is what you offer in your preschool? Communication preferences, right? Email, text, phone, in person, best time for communication, frequency of communication. Again, remember how you're creating messaging matters. It matters. Like if you have a huge population that doesn't use the internet, and there are communities like that, you're not going to communicate with the families via the internet, right? Like you have to understand who is your demographic. What is the vast majority of people and how do they communicate? All right. Childcare needs and expectations, right? So what are the reasons for your parent demographic for choosing childcare? Is it because they need to work, so they're putting their childcare? Is it for socialization? Is it for education, right? And don't say all three. What is the primary reason that the parent is choosing your childcare? Is it because they need to go to work and they just need a place for their child to go? Well, guess what? That parent, the moment they have a universal free pre-K option, they're going there, right? Or is your parent choosing for socialization, for education, for quality? Like, what is the reason they're choosing it for? You have to go into the data, okay? What are their expectations for child development and learning? So many times we put these ridiculous expectations on ourselves around, learning. I remember I was talking to someone, she had a daycare model. I think they were open to like 10 p.m. or something like that for like very late, because they served a very large single parent population. And I remember I was talking to her once and she was showing me the schedule of the day of one of the, I think 3 or 4 year olds classrooms. And she was showing me that they were like doing like certain activities at like 8:30 at night. And I was like, it's 8:30. They're 3 years old. All other 3-year-olds in the world are sleeping at 8:30 at night. Why do they have puzzles as part of a like mandatory activity at 8:30 at night? From 8:30 to 10, it's babysitting. You're babysitting that child until the parent comes. You're not doing educational learning. It's 8:30. The child's 3 years old. You're not teaching them at 8:30 at night. You gave them dinner, you're putting them on a cot, and you're letting them relax until mama comes or dada comes or whoever's coming to pick up. And she was like, oh, but we're an educational program. I'm like, great. The child's been in your building for 9 hours. You did the education and now it's quiet time. So there was this ridiculous expectation that she was putting on herself to do this whole curriculum at 8:30 at night. And I was like, no. Number one, no one parent is expecting that. Number two, you're just burning out your teachers for no reason. Why would you expect a teacher to do something at 8:30 at night for a 3-year-old child? Okay. So expectations for child development and learning. Okay. Decision-making factors. Who are the key influencers in a child care decision, right? When a parent is making a decision, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, we need to make sure our online reviews are really good. Yes, it's really important to have good online reviews. I do not make a decision about who has access to my child's soul and my child's brain from an online review. I don't do that, right? My child's education, I carried my child inside of me for 9 months. This is my child. This is not an object. I'm not buying a toaster and looking for online reviews. This is my child. So yes, it's really nice to have online reviews, but that is not a key factor in my decision-making process. Now, I'm a certain type of parent avatar, right? I make decisions based on family and friends and values. That is the decision I make. So you can have 100 online reviews. I won't even read them because I don't care what they have to say. I care what my friends have to say, what my family has to say, what my values are. Because for me, I'm not buying a product. I'm not buying an object. I am buying an entire educational and value system that you will have access to my child's soul and their mind for 9 hours a day. I am not making that decision from an online review. Now, again, that's my decision-making filter because I am choosing education and this place for my child's education, for their value system, for their socialization. So there's so many factors there. I'm not choosing it because I have to go to work, so I need a place to send my child. That is not the decision-making filter that I'm using. Now you have to understand, there's no right or wrong decision-making filter. It's just, what is your decision-making filter? I do not look at online reviews when I'm choosing a school for my child. Ever. And you will have a certain demographic of people that will not look at online reviews when they are making a buying decision like, who is educating my kid? I'm not buying a toaster. I'm buying an educational thing for my child, right? Like, really remember that when you're creating this messaging. Like, it's so important to understand that. Okay. Next, so after we have the data collection and we look at the different demographics, now we're going to look at analyzing existing parent data. Okay, so we have to look at, okay, these are the different ways that we can get some parent data. These are the different types of demographics. I'm going to walk you through some types of avatars that you could create, okay? And then you're going to be creating, then you're going to look at, how do I analyze this data? Well, one of the things you want to look at is your enrollment trends, right? Analyzing patterns and who enrolls, who leaves, right? Identifying the common characteristics of long-term families. So families who stay with us for long-term, which means they come in infancy, they stay till 5 years old, or they come in at 2 years old, and then when they have their second child, they send their second child to us, they send their third child to us, right? What are the characteristics of a long-term family? The other thing you're going to look at is communication records, right? Open rates, response patterns, analyze which types of messages get the most engagement. So when we send out something, that lets them know this, I don't know, we got a 2% open rate. When we talk about this, 90% of families are opening up. They're clicking, they're checking, they're doing all the things. All right, well, what is that? Right? What is that thing that they're looking at? Okay. Participation metrics. Look at attendance at parent events and workshops. What are the characteristics of the highly involved versus the less involved parents? Right? Really understand this. Guys, this is like, oh my God, I can't even tell you how important this is to understand all of these factors so you can be fully enrolled. Like, these are the factors. Stop trying to figure out how to gamify Facebook ads and Google ads and fix your website. That is not going to get you families in the door. These are the frameworks that you have to, these are foundation, these are table stakes. You have to understand how to do these things and do it well, right? All of those extra things, the bells and whistles of like, we need a social media strategy, we need a website, we need Facebook ads, those are all bells and whistles. If you don't know this stuff, there is no amount of money that you can throw at Facebook ads that is going to get you fully enrolled. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Again, people are not buying toasters. They're buying education for their child. I cannot say this enough. You are the childcare facility, the school, that is responsible and has access to my child's soul, their brain, their value, their nervous system. You have access to it. You better believe I'm going to be unbelievably discerning about who gets access to that. And no, I will not be making that decision on a Facebook ad or on an online review platform. I will not be doing that. Now, again, that is me as my demographic, as my type of avatar. There are other people who will make that decision, but you might actually have a whole group of families who will never make a decision from an online review platform. Okay, so then why are you obsessing over getting your online reviews? Right? Is that the best way for you to get fully enrolled? Right? Stop doing what everyone else is doing. Stop with the best practices. Just stop. Do the right work. Spend the time and focus on the activity that actually is going to move the needle and drive enrollment. And when you understand, and the reason why people don't do this is because it's so much easier just to hire a marketing agency. Okay, I'm giving you $1,800 a month. Boom. Cha-ching, where's all the kids, right? As opposed to like, 1 second, like, what do I actually need to do here? What do I actually need to do here? Okay. That is looking, so we spoke about communication, we spoke about participation, feedback and reviews. Analyze themes in positive and negative feedback, right? Identify what different types of parents value most, right? What do they actually value? Is it the early care? Is it the drop off? Is it the, delicious lunches? Is it that you're buying food from the local farm? Is it that you partnered with the local, organic farm? Is it that, you buy, the cheaper options in Walmart and they like that because it reduces their budget? Like, you gotta know what the parents care about, right? Financial data. Look at the patterns of timely payments versus late payments. Analyze uptake of different payment plans or financial aid options, right? Like just looking at all that financial data. Okay. Moving on. Again, I said this was going to be like a meaty episode, and this is an unbelievable conversation that we're having here. I hope that if you're driving or doing something else, pause, take notes, come back. This episode isn't going anywhere. Like really, really dig into this. Okay. So how do we create an avatar? Okay. Based on all the data that I just said previously, now you're going to create 3 to 5 distinct parent avatars. Okay. For each avatar, you are going to define the following: the demographic details, the key challenges and pain points, the goals and aspirations for their child, their preferred communication methods, and their level of desired involvement in the center, right? How much they want to be involved in the center. I can't tell you how many times people run these different parent events and they get so disappointed that only 4 people showed up. And I'm like, well, look at the data. Your data is telling you that over 75% of your families want a low commitment of engagement in after school or before school or, not during school time activities. They just don't have the capacity for, okay, so then why are you running these events? Well, we want to create a community. Okay, but does your demographic want a community style school, right? Like that's the thing we really have to be looking at. Like, my son's school both of my kids' schools are super community involved. Like it's centric to everything. Now, again, Mayor and I, one of our family values is community and contribution and giving back. And so we love participating in community. My son just went out of town for school. They have 2 different weekends with dads where Mayor's going to fly down there and spend the weekend with Mendel. They bring in speakers. My dad was invited to come be a speaker there one time, so he'll probably come again now that my son is there. And they spend the whole weekend together, right? And I was asking a friend of ours who sent their son there 2 years ago, and I said, what's the attendance rate of the dad's weekend? Like, there's, I don't know, like 45 boys in the high school. Like, how many people actually get on a plane, fly all the way there, spend the whole weekend with their son, and go back home? And he's like, oh, it's 100%. Every single father shows up at that event. And that is a huge testament, right, to that school knowing their parent demographic, right? My younger son's school, Yassi, he's turning 7 very soon. He's in 1st grade now. They do at least once a month. There is some form of a community event, whether it's like a Saturday night barbecue or something that they're doing together with songs and like just connecting together. Everything has a faith component because, again, it's a faith-based school. So there's always spirituality. There's always community components. My daughters have different community events as well. It's a super community-based school, not family-based, community-based, really, really creating a community inside of the school. You have to know, does my parent demographic seek this? Okay, so you create these avatars. Then you do avatar validation, right? You create it, and now you go and validate the avatar through staff feedback, through parent focus groups, through one-on-one conversations with parents who fit each avatar. And I know you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, this is so much work. Yes. And when you do this work, you will stop struggling with enrollment. When you do this work, you will stop struggling with staffing, not being able to enroll because you're like, a lot of issues go away when you do this, right? And you stop throwing money and resources at things that don't matter, things that don't move the needle. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of different parent avatars that we've created for clients, and this will kind of get your mind churning, okay? So we have the career-focused parent. This avatar is a dual income household, limited time for center involvement, values efficiency and communication, interested in child academic progress, and they may struggle with guilt over time away from their child. This is the career-focused parent avatar. Okay. Second avatar, the highly involved parent. So in this avatar, the highly involved parent is often the stay-at-home parent with flexible work hours. They're eager to participate in center activities. They seek frequent updates and communication. They have higher expectations for center performance, and they value a partnership approach for their child's care. Okay. Again, notice how each of these avatars are very different, but they also have some similarities. Okay. Some other avatars. The first-time parent. The first-time parent is anxious or uncertain about childcare. They are seeking a lot of reassurance and information. They are highly responsive to the educational content about their child's development. Of course, they're a first-time parent, right? They may need extra support during transitions, and they value building a relationship with the staff, right? They are first-time parents, and so they're looking to the teacher, even if the teacher is 23 and doesn't have a family, it doesn't matter. They're looking to you as like, you're my partner in this education journey for my child. Okay. Next avatar, the multicultural family. Okay. This avatar typically has English as a second language. They value cultural sensitivity and inclusion. You have an avatar of the multicultural family. It is so important to get educated and understand the different cultures that you have, because families that come from different cultures really have a huge value on the cultural sensitivity of their cultures and where they grew up and their family, and their family tradition and inclusion. Okay. They may need translated materials or interpreters. If you have a huge, avatar of English as a second language, are you creating some of your materials in that second language? Right? Now, again, not every school needs to do this. Not every single school needs to create different options in different languages. If you don't have a huge audience of multicultural families, that's fine. You don't have to do that. But other schools that do have this avatar, you should do that. You should do that. You need to do that, right? Multicultural family are interested in how their culture will be represented in the curriculum. This is like, oh my gosh, like when I taught in the city, and we had, I had a couple kids in my class that came from different cultures and backgrounds. And I remember as I was building out the curriculum, I connected with one of the dads, and I spoke with him about his culture and his background. And I asked him to come and he was a chef. And I said, can you come cook a dish, that comes from your culture, and come do it inside of the school? And he was like, absolutely. And I said, just, as a heads up, everything, of course, any ingredients that you bring into the school have to be kosher certified. And he said, of course, can you help me, do that? Cause he really wanted to be responsible. I said, of course. I told him the stores that he could go shop in. He went to those different stores. I said, you can absolutely go to like different ethnic stores. Here's the symbol that you want to look for kosher certification. He kept sending me text messages with different pictures. I told him what was okay, what was not okay. He came, he brought all the ingredients. He built this beautiful, beautiful dish, for our class, to honor this. And it was so meaningful for this dad. He had tears in his eyes, like when he was leaving. Just more than anything for him, it was seeing his culture represented in his child's classroom. And for me, it was just so fun for us. Like the kids got to learn all about this. Like it was fun for me. I had a great experience, educating the dad and all this stuff that he wanted to know about. So these are just some beautiful moments where you're connecting with families and really respecting, this avatar. Okay. So again, like I said, they're interested in how their culture is represented in the curriculum. And the last one is they have different cultural expectations about education and care. Like this is huge. Different cultures define care and education in different ways. I'll never forget, Esther Perel did this interview, on raising children and sports, with, she had it was like kind of like a round table, where you have different parents from different cultures talking about, sports. And she's like, well, in America, being at every single one of your kids' sports games is like mandatory. Like, how dare you not show up to your kid's soccer game or your kid's thing? And she's like, she's like, I wasn't raised like that. Like she has two boys. She's like, I didn't go to every single one of their games. And she's like, I didn't feel guilty not showing up to their games. I didn't feel like that was a standard that my husband and I needed to do, that we needed to be at every single one of our children's sports games. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, that's crazy. Of course you need to be at every single one. That is your culture. This was her European Eastern culture, right? So understanding that different cultures have different expectations about education and care, my gosh, your life will change when you can actually incorporate this into your messaging and your marketing. Okay, the last type of avatar that I want to share is the Grandparent Guardian, okay? So every single school has at least one or two of these families. Well, not every single, but a big majority of schools will definitely have one or two of these avatars, depending on where you live. You might have a bigger demographic in this avatar, where the grandparent guardian is less familiar with modern child care practices. They have physical limitations for involvement. They value traditional methods of communication. Call me or talk to me face to face. Don't send me a text message. Don't send me an email. Just don't, right? They need extra support with technology-based communication, and they bring a wealth of life experience to every interaction that you will have with them. So these are just some of the parent avatars that parent archetypes that you can create when you do this data. Okay, so let's wrap up because this is getting to be a long conversation. So how does this go into your marketing strategy? Okay, for the strategy development, you are going to develop a tailored communication strategy for each avatar. You're going to create targeted engagement activities for each avatar. You're going to train staff on how to interact effectively with each avatar, right? Well, we had a teacher when I was a director who kept bugging this one family to sign this form or something. They kept reminding, and she kept coming in, and she's like, she still didn't do it yet. I'm like, leave them alone. The next time she comes to drop off, bring the iPad and just have her sign there. She's like, well, that's not what the policy is. They have to fill it out in advance. I'm like, I know. And this parent is this avatar, and they cannot do this. It's just beyond what they can do. So we're going to make an accommodation. And when they come in, you'll just have them sign it. Right? So we have to train our staff on how to interact effectively with each parent avatar. So that's the kind of high level strategy. When you're creating your communication and your marketing, of course, you're creating targeting marketing messages that address the specific needs and values, right? When you come to a marketing agency and you come with, these are my avatars, this is what they need, these are their needs, these are their values. Now you're giving that marketing team the best data to go and figure out, to go hunt for you and bring you amazing clients. But most marketing agencies are not going to ask all of these questions. They're just going to go run generic ads and stuff like that to try to, get kids inside of the door. And not because they're not good at what they do, but doing this work is your job. It's your job as the leader. It's not the marketing team's job. It's your job to figure out all this information and come to the marketing team with all of this, right? You're going to create communication plans that align with their preferences, email newsletters, some text updates, etc. You're going to design your program offering that highlights these components that these avatars care about, right? You're going to create your website and your social media content that speaks to the concerns of each avatar. So when you talk about revamping your website for what? What is it going to say now? What is it going to say differently? You're just going to change the colors and the fonts? You're going to put the signage spot over here because it's, has better real estate? Okay, great. You'll bump it up by I don't know what %, but you want a really good website? Create a website and social content that speaks to the concerns of each avatar. Now you got a banging website, right? Remember that when you're creating family archetype mapping and you're decoding this, you want to make sure that your messaging, your marketing, your communication strategy, they all resonate with each parent avatar and addressing their unique needs and their unique preferences. So I really hope that today's episode just opens up your mind to look at things from such a different perspective when you're looking at communicating with families, when you're looking at messaging, when you're looking to boost enrollment. This is a phenomenal place to get started. Again, I have a couple of different episodes on how to boost enrollment right away, the strategic advantage, all these different things. This is more of an in-depth, longer-term strategy to boosting enrollment. Again, thank you so much for joining us.